Hello, howdy, and welcome everyone to Turtle Soup, the internet and the world's only listener-supported podcast dedicated to the ongoing journey of the TMNT from the very beginning until my eyes cooperate and I can live stream like a real boy and not have to change the way we do our entire podcast.
Oh yeah. But it's fun though. It's different.
We are normally live on YouTube. We are not right now, but our videos are always there. So go over to YouTube and be sure to subscribe and like and comment and stuff like all the good things that really help the show out.
Indeed.
And we hope to get back to live streaming. We'll get more into a little update section on my eyes, which I'm sure you can see are a little red and kind of irritated later. But something that I don't have to wait till later to do. You know, something that I
it's like a now present.
Yeah, it's just like it's a forever present for our
nice.
patrons who help us keep the show, stop the Foot Clan from destroying the podcast and all that great stuff. And this episode in particular is dedicated to Brian Bales and Christopher LaFave.
Yeah.
So if you would like to have your name read on the show, you could be a patron. Just go to patreon.com and check us out. It helps support the podcast. And that would be fantastic.
Indeed.
Speaking of fantastic stuff, we are here to take another step on the journey today.
On the journey.
So, Eric, where are we in particular today?
Oh, in particular, Ryan, we are in 1999, man. Like that was the year you had to watch your computers in December. We're getting close. December here in the real world, in the real times. And back then, it was stickers everywhere. Be careful. Don't turn them off. Don't want Cyberdyne or whatever, Skynet, whatever it is.
No, Skynet to become self-aware.
Right. Was Cyberdyne the same thing, or is that something else? Is that like a different sci-fi thing that I'm thinking of, like Cyberdyne Industries, or is that the same thing?
No, Cyberdyne Industries, or Cyberdyne was from
Okay, cool.
The company that makes Skynet.
Yeah, that word was in the same folder in my brain on my C drive.
You could be thinking of Datadyne, which was the company in Perfect Dark, the video game.
Oh, okay.
They were the big alien tech company in Perfect Dark.
Well, speaking of, I don't have a good transition. I was going to try to say something about the dark.
Well, we're rusty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm getting off the cobwebs and everything, shaking them out. Well, speaking of what's shaking out, we're shaking out one from 1999, like I said, but May of 99. Yes. So you're still okay. You got about 7 months before the end of the world. And you have the option to read Image Comics TMNT Volume 321 back in the day. And if you did, we want to know, turtlesoupshow@gmail.com. But we're going to be reading it today for the first time with y'all. So you can sit back and relax and do that and enjoy our thoughts on it as you read. Or you could pause it. You got all kinds of options. That's what we like to do here at Turtle Soup. Keep the options open. But one thing, again, we want to stress this too. IDW has been putting out reissues of a bunch of this stuff, so make sure you're going and supporting them at your local comic shop and support them because they do really good work. So don't just take our word for it. Go read this yourself and enjoy it as well.
Don't take our word for it.
Yeah, we're just not to sell us short, but
LeVar Burton situation going on here.
Oh yeah, take a look.
Take a look.
So yeah, we're doing that in '99. Man, that's a long time ago.
We're breaking some of the temporal rules of the podcast. We're following Image all the way up through. We still need to go back to 97 and round out some things, but the end of the 90s is upon us regardless. There's not much more in this first big wave. So if you're just hopping on for the first time, go to the Facebook group, check us. There's a lot of great people there. Once again, check us out on Facebook and stuff and on YouTube and all the socials. And because if you're just hopping on now, it's going to be a very interesting time to hop on.
It is.
Because we're on the precipice of some pretty crazy stuff.
Oh yeah.
So we're kind of excited about it. Speaking of crazy stuff, Eric, how has your life been recently? How are you doing?
Man, my life, it's been wild. Let me think. A couple things. Have you ever been to a park opening, Ryan? Like just a park?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Yeah, me neither until recently. My wife's like, "Hey, let's go to this thing." And I'm like, "Oh, that's that thing where they've been all this construction in the next town over." I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, I kind of do that thing. I fall on that trope where my wife tells me something and I'm kind of like, I just go along with it. I don't really question anything. I kind of just want to roll the dice and see what happens. And she kind of remember her mentioning that. Oh yeah, this thing is it's a 2-day event. And they're gonna have people busing. They're gonna have buses coming all over to, like, in our area of Central Florida. There's not a lot of public transportation for the rest of the world that's used to that. So
we should drive everywhere,
right? So the idea that there's public transportation is kind of wild. So they're busing people from, like, the downtown area of the next town over, and all this weird shit. She was dropping enough clues to let me know that it was gonna be a bigger deal than what I thought it was. Mm-hmm. And the second thing was. We went on Saturday, but she told me on that Sunday, the Spin Doctors, and I want to say it wasn't Bare Naked Ladies. It was somebody else.
Better Than Ezra or something?
No, it wasn't Better Than Ezra. Why can't I think of it? But some other 90s band that is, like, on par with that.
Sister Hazel?
Sister Hazel, yes. Yes, I think it was Sister Hazel, yeah. Both of them are playing at this park thing on the next day. And I'm like, I didn't think anything of it until we got there and realized... we're walking, and I'm like, we've been walking a bit. Like, this is kind of a while. And then I realized those are bands that, they were, like, kind of like one-hit wonders. They had some other songs and stuff like that, but, like, they were really big in the 90s. But nevertheless, they're still big bands. Like, they play on big stages. And I'm like, you just don't have that in, like, your backyard. So then that's when it sunk in that, I'm going to be walking all day. Okay. And sure enough, there was a huge stage, and DJ Kitty from the Tampa Bay Rays was mixing it up. And
that's awesome.
It was wild.
He's the best.
But it was neat going to a brand new park because it's not been like garbaged up and everything. Like
And
it's everywhere and everywhere you look, like in Florida, it's very flat. So we don't have a lot of we don't have any mountains, but we also don't have we get excited if we see a hill. And but the way that they did this thing, dude, is and we'll have to go when you come over here sometime. Neat. They everywhere you look, it was like a screensaver or a background in your desktop on your computer, and it was kind of funny. Like it was triggering weird shit in my head. Like I loved it because I'm like, oh, Windows 95, there we go, right there.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was really neat to be like out and about in there, and it was really nice. But I'd never been to a park opening, so that was kind of fun and interesting to see what they're doing with it and all this stuff. And it was really windy, so they tried to get the big, like, crazy kites, like that you're like, oh, okay, and they kept upping the ante. They kept being like, oh, that one's pretty big. Oh, there's a bigger one. And by the time we got up to the hill where they were launching them, they launched this squid thing, and it's all squiggling and wiggling like Splinter, you know, and in the air,
damn.
Dude, it was massive. Damn. And so, but then like the wind kind of died down, and I'm like, oh shit, and I'm like, I'm not leaving. I'm gonna stand right here. And Ryan, the squid just enveloped me, and I was just like born again. It was wild. It was nuts.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a wild day. And so that's one thing that happened. And then my band, the Paperback Whale, we played our first show since you helped us record our latest record. What's Bad Faith. That's our latest record. Mm-hmm. And it should be everywhere. You can listen to it or not. Way.
The Paperback Whale.
Yeah. And so we played this really cool place in the next town over, and it was really neat. But I keep forgetting that Halloween's like 3 days from now. And
it's on Monday or whatever.
Yeah. And so it was a costume thing, and I kept forgetting that. I kept just like, because I don't really care what people wear. I have weird hair, some people think, and so it doesn't really bother me. But then and everything's dark and stuff in the bar. So we play our set, and I'm kind of already on that high, that post-show high where you're like, I did my responsibility. Now I could just have fun. Mm-hmm. And I go up to the merch booth. There we go. There's a TH in that. And so my wife is there, and she's dishing out the goods. Wait, that sounds really bad. That sounds like that sounds like she's just like, hey, come on. But no, she's selling our merch, slinging our merch, you know. Mm-hmm. And dude, I look to my left to see who's buying a shirt. I kid you not. Are you sitting down?
Yeah, currently.
Okay, good. Because
scoliosis, I prefer sitting in a chair.
Precisely. Quail Man. Or someone dressed as Quail Man. I don't know who Quail Man really is. But someone dressed as Quail Man. Doug Funny,
I mean, that shows they already have taste in class. So,
precisely.
I mean, that's already a good thing.
Oh, yeah. Bought one of our shirts, Ryan. So
that's
Quail,
sick.
My brain, I was already on that post-show high. My brain could not comprehend the fact that a childhood hero of mine has bought a shirt of mine.
Oh, yeah.
I understand that that's not
Sure.
the real quail man, but nevertheless,
But
don't take this from
it's
me.
how it's hitting you. Yeah.
Precisely, it's how I'm getting it, how it's coming into me. Like that's what it is, and that was amazing. I love that, and it helped that he was also a drummer from another band that we've played with before, and he said like, good set, and I liked your stuff, and we want to play together.
Awesome.
And I'm like, oh, it just keeps getting better and better, and so it was really neat. The girl that the lady that did our artwork was there, and I hadn't seen her in forever, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was really neat, and yeah, it was a fun time. The weird thing though is that we're playing with a lot of younger bands now that are like they're getting really good. Like the bands that I saw them like 2 years ago and they were an acoustic act.
Yeah,
and it was like, oh, you're gonna be really good. Oh well, recently they got a drummer. And so they're getting better and better. I'm like, oh, and they played last night as well. And this band Marison, and they seem like good kids from what I know of them. And well, anyway, we from going and seeing them play and playing shows with them recently, like, your parents some parents used to come out to shows and stuff, and you'd get to know parents. Yeah, this kid's parents were the taking the money at the door. Like that's what they were doing. And it was awesome. And they start talking to me, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of weird because like I'm playing with your son, but yet you're like, I'm almost your age. Like it was a weird, I'm at that weird time in our lives. But overall it was a blast. So we had a lot of fun, and but that's I just wanted to share that Doug Funny, or excuse me,
Doug Funny
bought our shirt, and that's it. But that's what's been going on with me, man. How have you been?
I wish I was better. So quick eye update, and I told Eric this, but for you guys, and I guess maybe some extra stuff for you, Eric. So so the eye infection thing is a real pain in the ass. I'm fighting an infection on two fronts. This can happen to anyone, by the way. So just like, right now, if your eyes are normal, just kind of like close them and enjoy the fact that they feel normal, and know that this hasn't happened to you, even though it very well can. Anyone is capable of having this happen. Yeah. It's just really bad luck. So I have strep in my eyes. That's a bacterial infection that just happened to me once again. If it gets set up, then you get where I am, where you are on 2 eye drops every hour. And to make sure they're effective, you have to take them every 30 minutes alternating. Right. So I'm on, been doing that for a while. I talked about that on the group and stuff, on the post I made and everything. But then while you're healing from that, there can also be a virus that you get. That is why my eyes are really red and why they're all irritated and stuff. That's just a separate thing that we have to let work its way out, and it can take a long time as well. Ooh. So, the bacterial infection is actually doing really, really good. So what you're seeing right now, and the reason that like I can't really podcast is kind of a combination of both of them, but the irritation and the weirdness is the virus. So I'm doing well, and I'm going forward little by little. I'm supposed to fully recover, but that's kind of been what's up with me. It kind of hampers a lot of your ability to do much. Like live stream, like trying to do the eye drops every once in a while, every 30 minutes would be really distracting. Plus, just obviously all the like mental health stuff that comes with like battling something like this. Like I'm prone to anxiety anyway. Yeah. And having a really kind of a longer term, like, hey man, like this is going to be months for you to get better from this. Definitely can screw you up on that front as well. Yeah. But I mean, good things have been happening. We got a new oven, which is pretty cool. We were kind of saving up and kind of like being like, like we have a grill, we have whatever. But our main oven actually didn't work for a long time. So we've been baking cakes and making lasagnas and all the crap you would do if you hadn't had an oven, for a while. Yeah. And we had other house projects too. We had other house projects that kind of had more priority over the oven. We're like, we still eat well, like whatever.
Oh, of course.
But that happened, and it's been like pretty legit. It's just everything is kind of, for me right now, is kind of through the filter of this eye thing. Like you can't really forget that you're battling this like crazy eye infection when you're doing eye drops every 30 minutes and your eyelids are swollen and they're irritated, and I'm on this oral antibiotic that you have to take every 12 hours, but you have to take it with food, but you can't have dairy 30 minutes or before or 30 minutes after. Oh man. And there's these rules. Oh, I'm also like, if you would normally get a slight sunburn, I can burn up like a dang old piece of toast. Like I'm apparently very sensitive to sunlight. Yes. Like Lisa Barangi. Yes. Like I'm apparently super susceptible to sunburn
Mm-hmm.
while on this oral antibiotic. So it's like it's hard to get your mind away from the fact that it's happening to you.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so if you've got healthy eyes, then definitely value that and hope that this never happens to you. This is one of those like I hope this would never happen to my worst enemy kind of shit. Like I don't know if I would ever put this on anyone.
Right, right.
Because it's just so overall dominating.
Oh, absolutely.
But anyway, yeah, that's kind of what's up. I hope that, over time, things will get a little better. Maybe I'll be able to roll my drops back. I guess the next step on my drops would be every 2 hours, which means I take a drop every hour, which is so much literally. It's such a different ball game than every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But one thing I try to look on the sunny side. I mean, one thing that I've developed is a keen sense for 30-minute intervals of time. I know, bro, the top and bottom of the hour. I know exactly when that is, what time that is. Like I don't have to look at a clock. Like I don't know anything. I just look over. I'm like, I'm never off by more than 5 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
Like of within 30 minutes of time, regardless of what I'm doing.
What if that was like your superpower? Like you just had a really good keen sense
That's
of
what
time.
That's what it kind of feels like. Yeah, it feels like that's my superpower. Like I've developed that.
I mean, that's kind of that is how superpowers happen. Is like through some kind of like infection or like accident or something, and you just develop this thing. So I mean, you never know. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of liking this.
You never do know. But anyway, but that's what's up with me, and obviously we'll keep you guys updated more on that. It has unfortunately suspended live streams for the moment, just because of all that. Like I can't really live stream like I want to, and stuff like that. So we're gonna be taking these episodes kind of like an episode at a time, and putting them out obviously on YouTube in pre-recorded form and in audio and all the different places you can find that. And like I said, in my post, the episode frequency may go down to like every other week or whatever. Just trying to put my eyes first and try to not overdo it so that like I can come back stronger. But yeah, that's kind of been what's up with me, and that's how it kind of affects the podcast and stuff in general. It's sad, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess we should mention that we did celebrate a 10-year anniversary. Sadly,
that did happen.
We couldn't do anything about it. Our plans are to, when we can celebrate that and when we can do 300 the way that we want to do episode 300 and stuff like that, we'll kind of wrap that all up there and have a big celebration for it. But,
and if you want to email us about that, I know some of you already have. But if you want to, we're going to try to like have like a celebration kind of deal going on. So there's still time. So send us in, but put it in the subject note or subject title name something, whatever emails are, and it's for 300 or not 300 for the 10-year anniversary
10-year
and because that's the other thing, we've got episode 300 right knocking on
I know
the door,
and yes no, those things are very close. 301 episodes in 10 years. So.
That's just wild. So there's that too. If you want to email about that too, feel free. But yeah, we do have something planned tentatively for 300 and possibly even 299 if things work out. But
we have really exciting stuff planned for it actually.
I'm super excited.
I'm really looking forward to it
because it sounds like it'll be a lot of fun. But
so we'll take all that stuff, like Eric and I are kind of behind the curtain, or just taking those things kind of one episode at a time, one thing at a time, while I am figuring out how long like I will be like this. Which it's funny, you asked the doctor. My eye doctor is so funny. I'm going to a cornea specialist because I'm way beyond the your average optometrist. At this point, and he's so funny. Like he'll never give you a timeline on anything. The most he ever gave me, I was like, "How long does one?" This is before the virus. I was like, "How long does it take for someone to get over this?" He's like, "Months. It could be months. Everyone's different." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Where am I in the process?" He's like, "You're making good progress. You're heading in the right direction." And that's all he'll say. So with the virus, I was like, "Look, man," I was like, "if the bacterial infection is getting so much better, it kind of sucks that I feel like crap because of this virus, which is a new thing." And I was like, "Look," and I always preface this. I always say, like, "Look, I know you can't tell me times. I know you can't. And I don't
Yeah.
really want to time out of you because I understand bad, false expectations, all this stuff. But like, what's the average, or what's the? He was, oh, everyone's different. And I'm like, all right. He's like, you're making good progress. I'm like, okay. So when I learn more, especially about like where maybe I am, that's another thing that could affect things. But right now, it's just like I'm going there twice a week,
Right?
And that's what that is.
Goodness.
But yeah, so yeah, any of the emails for the 10th anniversary, for 300. Obviously, any questions you have about the show or about whatever, turtlesoupshow@gmail.com, you can always reach us there and, like ask questions or hit us up on Facebook, and I'm on there. And, like if there's any questions you have particularly about what's going on, I'll try to keep you guys updated and stuff, especially through the podcasts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are you ready to review a comic book?
I think so.
Is that a thing that you're ready to do?
I believe it is. It is on my agenda. So
let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. I got to remember how to do it. Here we go.
I know. A little rusty.
Woo. Boom. There it is.
Is it rusted? That's the second time we'll ask you that.
That is the second time. Oh man. So yeah, Image Comics May 1999.
Wow.
Issue 21 of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Ryan, this cover's pretty awesome.
It is. It's pretty cool. It does kind of fall into the territory of like, this didn't happen, but
right.
So spoiler alert. But it's got everybody on there, and it's pretty cool. In particular, any cover where Hortus is there, any cover where Sarah's on the cover, I'm a fan of.
I'm a fan of that.
And I really like this depiction of Raphael. But basically, it's Kamiko holding Sarah, jumping, off this building. In the foreground, in the background, you've got, the turtles effectively. Minus.
No,
they're all there. You've got, in the background, you've got, Raphael as Shredder, or Shraphiel, as we call him. You've got Leo, you know what I mean? Like, only no hand. You know what I'm saying? He's missing a hand there.
He is.
And Robo-Don and Mikey, who is yet to be maimed.
Yes.
All in the background. The building top corner thing feels like a little bit of like I don't even know if you really call it an issue 1 homage. But it's definitely very thematic and a hollowed image for the turtles to be leaping off the edge of a building or be stationed on the edge of a building. It's pretty
absolutely common. I love it.
But yeah, I like the artwork a lot. Everybody's got a lot of detail. I think it does jump off the thing. I do obviously love the TMNT image masthead with, anytime that anything overlaps the masthead, I'm a big fan.
Oh,
so
100%.
You've got Pamiko's sword and shield and her top knot and some of Sarah kind of obscuring the masthead, which I'm a huge fan of.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, and the coloring, all of it looks cool. It looks like the sun's coming up, apparently, like it's a sunrise or
that
sunset.
gradient work. Gradient work's pretty cool. That digital gradient work in the background, I like that.
Like think about it back in the day, like before, like when you're the first person to do a gradient digitally, and you're like, yeah, this is all we do. This is our business. Like, do you want a gradient? We got you. Like, come and like pick them out, and like that's what they're doing here. They're like, all right, here we go. Check this out. And it's still just as impressive today as it was back then, 100 years ago.
It is
last century or whatever it was. But
there you go.
Yeah, and I agree. Something about the turtles on a rooftop. Something about that. Ninjas, turtles, rooftops.
No,
teens,
it's like I said. I guess you do it enough times, it stops being an homage to issue 1 and becomes more of like a just a reference to the overall feel and the overall look of like TMNT covers over time. And I think that's pretty sweet.
Absolutely.
So that cover was done by Frank Fosco and Eric Larson. Our writer is Gary Carlson. You've got Frank Fosco on pencils, Mark Heike on inks, Pat Brosseau on letters, with your editor being Eric Larson, and Garrett Chin being your editor-in-chief at the time for Image Comics.
Right.
I'm sure Josh Eichhorn had a funny credit somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
But it is not listed where I can see it.
Right. So
So that's the thing.
That is a thing. Well, what else is a thing is a quick so basically, as we like to call it here on the show.
So basically.
Yeah, so basically. Oh, I forgot about so basically. That was amazing.
Oh, I mean, don't forget about him. He didn't forget about you.
He didn't forget about you. He never does. So I'm going to try to breeze through this real quick as best as I can, but also as thorough as I can. So quickly, Image starts off with the Turtles getting maimed by a bunch of cyborgs that are hired by, was it King Komodo? The Komodo Dragon, yes. And he also had a partner that was also helping to find the Turtles, and she was a ninja named Pamiko. And we see her on the cover here. And and so...
Oh, it's eye drop time.
Okay.
Woo. Got him.
Yeah,
I'm back. Let's go.
Okay. So Pamiko on the cover here, like she helped the Komodo, the Dragon Lord, find the Turtles. He got Splinter, injected him with some mutation stuff, and then turned him into Bad Bat Dad, and all that shit happened. But he's cured now. Pamiko found out some stuff, turned on her employer or her partner, and helped the Turtles escape. We haven't seen her in a while. I think the last time we saw her, she might have been in the shadows stalking Raphael once he became the leader of the
last time we saw her was she did show up
you're
at
right.
Splinter's and was fighting Splinter. Splinter defeated her and tied her up. Casey shows up and he's like, right. What kind of foolish business is this? And Splinter's like, there's no impropriety.
Right, yeah.
We're not doing anything fun besides beating her up. So they have a little sit down, and Casey loses his mind and starts like going crazy, and that's what makes Pamiko run away and escape. So we did have like a weird interaction with her, where she was trying to get back to Splinter for some reason.
Yeah, it was one of those things where she wanted to have a meeting but didn't know how to like do it. She's got like poor communication skills. She doesn't know how to like engage in conversation except for attack, but then not really, and then get tied up by your rat dad.
Another notable thing about Pamiko is that she claims to be Oroku Saki's daughter. Is another small fact, that she is like his illegitimate daughter.
But this is not Karai, supposedly.
No,
so far that we know. Yeah.
No.
Then let's see here. Mikey has been, so like you mentioned earlier, Don got possessed by a robot, essentially, or he possessed it, one of the two. Leo got his hand bit off fighting another Komodo dragon guy, and that was a mess. And let's see, Mikey has, like you said, he hasn't been maimed yet, but he did get maimed by love, if you will. And he's been in love with this character on the cover, Sarah, since their Savage Dragon meetup in the Savage Dragon crossovers. And so he's been writing a novel. All this stuff has been happening, and it's presumably about his relationship with Sarah, and albeit long distance, but still, vital. Yeah. And where we're at now, though, Donnie got picked up by these dudes that look like Men in Black that were trying to figure out who he was, even though they live in the world of the Image Savage Dragon universe, where all these superheroes are, and nobody seems to know who the Turtles are. Anyway, that all got solved whenever Sarah recognized him, because she's part of this other, what was that group? It was some
SOS,
other
Special Operations Strike Force.
There you go.
I believe.
And so she is with Donnie, and Donnie's like, all right, let's leave Chicago, because Donnie got taken to Chicago. So then he's like, all right, let's go back to New York. So they get in the flying car, which is it's a co-opted Triceraton flying vehicle that belonged to a Triceraton named Zog, who was on Earth a long time ago.
It goes back to like Mirage Volume 1.
Yeah, lore. Yeah. And so as that all's transpiring, one of the people that helped Leo defeat the other Dragon Lord, King, I think it's King Komodo.
It's King Komodo.
Yeah, because the other one was Lord Komodo. King Komodo, he... one of our friends, Leatherhead, ended up helping the Turtles, defeat King Komodo. And he's been there, and he's like, oh, this whole time I've been in your lair, working on with a lab with a pen and a pad, trying to get this transmat off. And he has a Utrom friend named Dr. X, which is amazing. Dr. X informs us that Leatherhead's mind's a little weird, because the mutation is like deteriorating and kind of like causing him to like be a little manic, and
he's in a Flowers for Algernon situation. He is slowly losing his like higher level like human intelligence and is
Yes.
reverting back more to like a primordial kind of alligator mentality.
Right, right. So, so you see spurts of that throughout, and we'll see some in here too. And then, but the transmat that they have, they test it out, and Leo gets sent away, and then he comes back. They bring him back, and he's fighting a Triceraton. And this Triceraton's like, "Oh shit, let me tell everybody else." So he calls his friends, and they're like, "Hey, party over at Splinter's old place." So they bring all the Triceratons there, and there's all that's going on. Well, the Triceratons are like, "Oh, well, we have another signal. Let's see what this is." And it turns out it's Zog's signal on his car. They find it, and they're like, "Oh, well, let's go see," because he probably took over everything. So they get there, and one of them transports there to find Don and Sarah, aka Horridus, in the air. So Don manages to get the Triceraton out by flipping the car upside down, and he falls through the roof of a museum, a natural history museum, I think. And I don't remember if that was all it did, but it has a lot of dinosaur bones in it. And let's just say that. It would be very weird if somebody saw a live dinosaur in it.
It's a museum of natural history.
There you go. That works. So, so that happened. And, while they were up in the air, Sarah, before Don came back, because there was a whole thing there. But while the Triceraton was there with Sarah, she thought he said his name was Triceratom, and or Donnie was calling him Triceraton, one or the other. And he mentioned something about knowing about her past and like her people,
her species,
right? Because we don't know as for Turtles-tarians, we're only reading really where the turtles show up in comics. And so we don't know anything more about Horridus's character besides what we've seen when she's made appearances with the
I mean, Horridus seems like in the comics that like she doesn't know, which is why she's so like interested in talking to the Triceratons, because she doesn't know, apparently. There's no one else that looks like her, but the angle that the Triceratom, if you will, tells her about is that basically she's a Saurian, which means that Triceratons are also Saurians and believe that the Saurian race is the superior race. So like here on Earth, we had Saurians, but they got destroyed by extinction or whatever. And they think that we put them down, that we actually like conquered them and have their bones in these museums.
Right.
Is what the Triceraton thinks. He's like, holy crap, this is nuts. And Sarah, he says Sarah's a Sauron. And that means that you are of like the superior old blood. And I know about your people, but then everything starts going down. So Sarah's got to know.
And that gets us pretty much where we are today. But I just want to touch on that real quick. I just want to say again, I love the fact that they think that we conquered them and we put their bones in a museum. That's amazing to me. That sounds so.
That's how it would look.
Yeah,
that's exactly how it would look to you.
Exactly. And I love that they touch on that so much that that's a thing.
Yeah.
Because they could have easily just breezed over that, but no. That detail, it just leaps and bounds. So we open up back at the Natural History Museum, and at this point, the security guard's running out. The alarm's been tripped because obviously, like the
Triceraton fell through the ceiling.
He's effectively probably about the same size as, maybe a little smaller than a Triceratops, like what you would imagine one would be, probably a little bit smaller, but he's definitely like bigger than the turtles, like way bigger. And
they're way bigger.
Hundreds of pounds, like thousands, maybe not thousands. I don't know. Big, just massive. Anyway, fell through the roof. That's going to cause the alarm to go off, or someone's going to notice. Well, one way or the other. The security guard's running out, and he's like, "Oh, he needs help. He's help," because the cops are already there to check in on this.
Yeah.
And he's trying to explain like what's happening. He's like, "They're alive. The dinosaurs. They're alive, Ryan. They're out here. It's like not at the museum, except like for real. But they don't know about that yet because that happened in the future. But it's also the past now. So anyway, time. So at this point, they hear another, just like a bunch of sounds, and the cops aren't believing this. The cops aren't having it. They're like, whatever. Yeah. Okay, you know what? What are you on? Like, what bath salts or what kind of things did you get in the? What have you? Been
can
drinking?
You show us where you've been drinking your lunch? Is what?
That's says. What they said. I knew they said something like very like.
You're drunk as hell. Like,
right.
What's your
where
deal?
Have you been drinking your lunch? Jeez. Well, at this point, we see this another Triceraton just like wreck some other display, and it's just like full on, and he's just like all beat up like a dang old piece of toast.
Well, Well, that's the one that Donnie flings out of the museum. He has a car.
Oh, that's a car.
Like all the cops have to move. Yeah, and like so you hear crack-a-doom right after they say, like, oh, you've been, show us where you've been drinking your lunch, pal, and then it flies out and hits this cop car and like crushes it.
I got crossed up because the crack-a-doom is the sound that Donnie's gun makes hitting the Triceratops. Yes. I was thinking it was that was his impact at first, so that's why I got crossed up. But you're right. He does hit the cop car, and it's like, okay, well, now there's no, you can't refute this. That's a Triceratops.
No.
Yeah. So so Donnie's like, oh snap, that has a lot more firepower than I thought, and Sarah's like, all been out of shape about this because again, she's like, these are she doesn't, she's not simple, but she's very encourageable. Is that the right word? Like she wants to believe that like these people might be good. Like she kind of seems like she might see the good in a lot of people and doesn't really understand the gravity of like what's actually happening in the situation.
Yeah, so, she feels like a very adolescent. So
that's a really good way.
She's very adolescent and she plays very young.
She does.
And she even to the point where when we meet her, actually the way that Mikey meets her is when the turtles go over to Savage Dragon's like hangout where his girlfriend lives.
Yeah.
And Sarah is living with his human girlfriend,
mm-hmm.
and his human girlfriend's kind of a good mom to her.
Yeah,
is like keeping her in the house, making sure she doesn't do anything stupid, like because she's a very impressionable, almost like very like young, like plays like a 13-14-year-old
right,
who's very optimistic.
That's a good way to say it. Yes.
Also very determined.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's been fighting this, like, I need to get my hands on one of these Triceratons and like be their friend and talk to them about how we're Sorens together.
Yeah.
She's been on this for like the last comic and plus the beginning of this comic. Like she won't be dissuaded.
Yeah, no. So so she is just like you could just see like on her face, like she is just totally like, oh my goodness, Donnie, you disintegrated him. And Donnie's like, no, I don't think
he went through the hole in the wall.
He went through the hole in the wall. But at the same time, he's like, I kind of got the impression he's like, did I? I mean, I see the hole in the wall, but like, still, I don't know how that's going to be on the other side. But anyway, but then another one shows up because there was at least two of them there last issue, and Sarah's like not letting this one get away. So she's like, all right, this one's mine. Like I'm gonna mine, gonna get him. So he has a thing in his hand that he's holding that we're not sure if it's a weapon or what it is. But Donnie doesn't either. So he's like, oh no, his weapon, like, because they have pretty powerful firepower as well.
They do.
And so then you hear whoosh, and Donnie's just like, oh no, Sarah, dang. It because he realizes that by the time it's happened, because everything happens so quickly here, he thought it was a bomb, and by all accounts, it seems like it could have been, because then we turn the page and we realize that there's nothing left. Like they're gone without a trace, and it's just like a little thing of smoke. And so the Donnie's just like, goodness, like I don't know, like it could have also been some teleportation thing though. Who knows? Because like it could have been a lot of things. Donnie doesn't know, but he
talks about how the blast wasn't much of a bomb blast. Like that's one cool point. Is he's kind of like, I just like crouched over here.
Yeah.
And it was a big flash of light, but like there's some steam and shit, but like there's like I would have been vaporized. If it vaporized them, it would have really hurt me.
Right. But what I like about it, at least with me, like how I was taking it in, was that the franticness of this all happening, and Donnie's like trying to hold it together, and he's sorting that out, like as he's going along. Like he's like, he's
definitely figuring this out as he's running away from the situation. Yeah.
Right. Because I think one thing they're trying to do here is they're trying to show you that this is not the same Robodon that we saw before they went to that serial killer's like town, and the changeling guy,
Johnny Lee Rayburn.
Johnny Lee Rayburn. Yes, thank you. I was trying to forget his name. But
old kid diddling murderer boy.
Oh goodness. Yep. And but then when that changeling character from Vanguard's comic took over the robot thing, this new thing that Donnie turned into is not as adept in processing things. Like it's a lot slower at interpreting all this information, or at least at the very least, it's not helping Donnie to the extent that he was getting prior.
It's almost like imagine if before the problem was like he was like a car with like an automatic transmission is the way I think of it.
Okay.
Like he had an automatic transmission, so like this CPU, this artificial intelligence that was in the cyborg body was helping him be badass and like helping him do a lot of things, but also it was controlling him. Like he wasn't fully there.
That's true.
And it was like in charge, whereas like now he's like driving a manual.
Right.
But he's all himself. Like he's not like he's completely in control now.
Right.
Of himself, and it's Donnie. Like his soul is there, but he's driving a manual. So if he makes his arm into a gun, he can do that. But then all of a sudden, it's too powerful.
Right.
Or he's got some disconnects there that he has to learn.
And we've yet to see, but I'm sure he could turn his hand into a shark fin or his hat, whichever you prefer. But
I'm sure both could be shark fins. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, and then as we all do, every time we're in the museum, we all have that feeling like, oh no, the cops, like they're coming. Like I don't know about y'all, but I know me and Ryan.
Absolutely.
At least. And so Donnie's got that too. So I love that his control for the car, which is something they touched on a long time ago, and what he used to get the Triceraton out of the car that fell through initially in the museum, was this little joystick that he's just like messing around with. And I love it so much because like this is 99, so we're far beyond like joysticks and video games, outside of arcade games, I guess. But the idea that it could be like something that he would have found, that someone would have discarded that. Like I love that
he worked it into he made an old like joystick controller into like what controls this flying car.
Yeah.
Like,
and I love that so much.
It's interesting.
It is. So all right. So so anyway, he's like, all right, well, like I gotta figure something out because we gotta get out of here. And so he calls the car. And he ends up getting in that and taking off. And I love that one of the cops are like, hey, or both of them are like, two of them are, what in the name of God was that? And he's like, oh, the other one's like some sort of flying dinosaur, but it sure wasn't no pterodactyl. And so like it's like that kind of reminded me of how like sometimes your brain will just associate things. So I'm glad they said it wasn't a pterodactyl, because it would have been weird if he's like, was it a pterodactyl? Because you just saw because you're questioning all assumptions. Like you're having to be like, wait a minute, was it? Because you can't necessarily use eyewitness testimony for a lot because
I say we're terrible eyewitness. We're terrible at eyewitness testimony in general.
Right. And I was hoping they would mess with that, but I did like that they were like, it wasn't a pterodactyl, but it's like, but they don't know what it is because flying cars is still something that's kind of out there, I guess, even in superhero worlds, I guess. I don't know. But nevertheless, so then we cut back to the sewers where we have a bunch of people trying to clean up the mess that Dr. X and Leatherhead have inadvertently caused, and that is a small Triceraton invasion. Now, we have, again, the aforementioned Leatherhead, Dr. X. Leonardo is here, as well as Michelangelo, and Casey Jones is here, full-on America mask, and just ready to kick some ass. And this is awesome. Now, you're probably wondering where everyone else is. We'll get to that in a second. But right here, they're in the thick of it. They're like, oh my God, we got to do something. We got to retreat because like they're getting overwhelmed by these people because they keep coming like in waves from the Transmat. And so Casey's trying to hype himself up and be like, no, they're wussies. They're wussies with extremely hard heads. And he breaks a hockey stick over it and everything. And then all of a sudden, the one that he's fighting, the Triceraton that he's fighting, gets hit with a bunch of arrows to be exact, and Casey thinks he sprouted feathers. He's like, oh no, this one sprouted feathers. And but we realize that it's he got just got with some old traditional arrows. And what happens here is that the Foot Clan shows up with their leader Shraphiel, just in full on Shredder regalia, and busting out the old bow and arrow foot soldiers. And
he comes in looking kind of like he was part of a fastball special.
Oh,
I don't know why. Like that just looks like very like Wolverine in the fastball special. That's what that looks like to me.
It totally does. It looks like he got the biggest one of his Foot Clan members to toss him. And and it's awesome. So he lands on the Triceraton that had just been fighting Casey that got all the arrows in his back, and just takes over it. And That's so awesome. And it's a 2-page splash, so it's beautiful.
Yes.
And I'm sure it's even beautiful in the IDW book. So go their press of it. So go check that out. But yeah, this is really neat seeing this. And now you have not only do you have all your heavy hitters, you have one of your biggest heavy hitters in Raphael dressed as Shredder with his whole Foot Clan. And this and these are still relatively new members of the Foot Clan, but it's been a couple of months at least to say the least. So they're up in ranks now. And this is really rad. So now they're like, all right, this could change everything. This might get us where we need to be. So fighting ensues, and it is a madhouse. Now, could you imagine this? That like you join. So first of all, you're a low level member of the Foot Clan, and everything's above board. Like you're like, okay,
you're Danny, if you will, or Dan now. You know what I mean? For the first movie, like you're just this kid who's like maybe mad at his parents, and you have your Sid Vicious shirt.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh man, heard the Foot Clan's looking for tryouts. So you go and do that.
Yeah.
And now you're training. Yeah. So go ahead. So imagine, put yourself POV, you're Danny, and you're here.
Right. You're Danny. You've traded your Sid Vicious shirt for some Foot Clan garbs. Yeah. And you're all decked out. And all of a sudden, the leader that you were following is now your enemy. That's now a 5-foot ninja turtle, like mutated teen turtle, and with one eye, because I think he still has both of his eyes, but his eye is like definitely like scarred to where it might not even work. I don't know, but like got the eye patch.
No, I think he lost that part of his whole head.
Is that gone? I can't remember, but nevertheless, eye patch, crazy. So something's happened, and this dude is wearing your old boss's suit. Which is a little weird, but you follow him and you're like, okay, I don't think things will get much weirder than this, Oh, and then you fight their bad bat dad a little bit, and you're like, okay, that's a little weird. That's okay. This is I can understand that. Then you go into the sewers to help his brothers, your leader's brothers, and that's fine. And you get there. Not only do you see a walking, talking brain named Dr. X, who has a doctorate. I can't find it in this issue, but it's on the wall. It's his doctorate of science or whatever he was into. And his friend that's a talking alligator that doesn't wear clothes. And then they're fighting a bunch of triceratops that are anthropomorphic.
Don't forget that your Foot Clan training regimen as well, before all this happened, consisted of being sicked on your boss's turtle brothers whenever they would show up, and the intro to like Leonardo showing up to talk to Raphael, for example, meant Leonardo whipping your ass.
Oh yeah. So
like you were made to fight him, and then you got your ass whipped by a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. And then you probably had to recover for weeks.
Right.
And then train again. And then all of a sudden, like, Donnie wants to show up. And you're like, oh, I got to fight him, don't I?
Yeah.
And then you do. And you get, like, your leg broken again. And then Raph's like, call it off. What are you here for, brother? And, like, this has happened probably to you several times off camera.
Oh, yeah.
As well. Like, that was your school of the Hard Knocks.
Right.
Was having to trying to beat up all of Raph's brothers when they come by, only to have your ass whipped. And then come back.
Yeah. And then now you're back and ready to go, and you're like, okay, it should be on par. Like it should be, an alligator.
Sure.
Okay,
I've done this before.
Yeah, sure. Oh, a dinosaur that's way bigger. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's just mentally. I don't know how they're doing that. Like the fact that like they could get that kind of dedication out of the Foot Clan is really impressive to me.
It makes you think back back when they asked you, regular or menthol, maybe you should have just said no.
No. Just no.
Like I don't want them. And then now you're fighting basically dinosaur space marines. Like that's what we get to do.
Indeed. Now. Yeah. That's how you're spending your day. Like they probably have loved ones that they're like, hey, I gotta go to work. Gotta go do this.
Sure.
All right, it's going to be a rough day. They're going to tell their family members like, "Oh, how was your day?" Oh, well, or they're going to start their own podcast about the turtles.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, what you been up to?
You'll never guess what happened today.
Right. Yeah. So that's
what you been up to, man. Oh.
Right. Okay. That's just what I've been like, really like taking it back and like looking at this, be like, oh, these are just dudes. So like you see here in the bottom left hand corner, they're just like 3 dudes. At least 4. There's 4 of them.
Yeah.
Just jumping on top of this Triceratops head with spears and swords.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness, like it's nuts. So yeah, and then you see Leatherhead chomping into one of the Triceratons' heads. So yeah, this is brutal.
Ugh.
But yeah, so they're so this is all going on. This is what's happening here, and at this point. More of them keep coming in through the transmat, and Michelangelo is like, "All right, I hate to do this, Leatherhead," because he's saying that a lot of this stuff out loud sometimes, like saying, "Hey guys, we need to get that. I know it means a lot to you, Leatherhead. I know," because Leatherhead's whole thing is he wants to get back. So does Dr. X.
Yes.
They want to get back to the Utrom's homeworld because Mirage Volume 1, like way back in the day, that was what happened. It ended up getting triggered, and it sent all of them to back, but it left these.
They're trying to get there, which once again, like, is another place in our. And we talked about this before, but just to clarify, if you're new or if you forgot, the way that this works in this universe is that the Utrom Empire and the Muton Empire and the Federat and all of them, those are real places in our galaxy. They're just really far away. They're not in another dimension. A lot of times, like the cartoon got us all on the dimension thing.
Yes.
No, it is a trans material device. It moves material from one place very far away.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get to a real place that's very far away, which we see happen. But I think another thing on the line too is that Dr. X really wants to help fix Leatherhead, and Leatherhead knows that he needs to be fixed because he knows he's losing his mind. Like he knows
he's
this.
aware.
And the only way is to get back to the Utrom Empire where they have the technology to actually stabilize him and make him good again.
Right, because he'll apologize to everyone once he realizes that, oh, I was being that way again. Like, I'm really sorry, I can't help it. Because this is what it is, where Leo's like telling everybody, we got to shut it down. We got to shut the teleporter down now, and because they're going to overwhelm us with numbers. Like, we can beat them and take them, but like there's just too many. And Leatherhead's standing in front of it, be like, no, you don't want me to leave. And he gets all crazy on it. And well, Michelangelo uses his magical nunchucks, which again, like this is the first evidence I think in comics that I've seen. If not, it's been a while, but definitely in the animated series that his nunchucks were definitely magical. He throws his nunchucks at this machine, and as you can see here in the middle panel, the top middle panel, they're already pretty long. Like there's at least like 10 rings there,
way longer than they were when he was previously fighting with them in other panels.
Precisely,
that's the important part to understand. They're like high and tight, Bruce Lee style, when he's actually fighting with them, like they would normally be.
Right, and then in the middle bottom panel, no, the second middle panel, I don't know, whatever. It's even longer because he makes contact with the machine, and they're longer than they were above him. So yeah, it's very wild. But nevertheless, he hits it in a way that electricity from the machine goes through and electrocutes him and fries him up like a dang old piece of toast. And yeah, so but it does the job. It gets some long minutes later, it says, they finally have like realized that, okay, the machine's done, there's no more Triceratons coming in here. And they think that he's dead. They think that Michelangelo is gone, like he's dead. And they're like, oh my goodness, like that's just I'm really sorry, we'd all be dead if it wasn't for him doing that and your help and stuff with the foot and whatnot. But they're I think. And that's the thing I want to zoom in on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, nothing. Oh,
okay. I wanted to zoom on this.
You're going to get into it
because so at this point, Raphael kind of realizes that, oh yeah, I'm Shredder. I'm the leader of the Foot Clan. I need to do some rallying call, something. And he goes, 3 of us dead, 7 wounded versus 14 dead Triceratons. I'd say the new Foot Clan proved itself today. For our audio listeners, your boy Shraphiel is holding up the disembodied head of a Triceraton over his head. There is blood and guts dripping on Raphael. This is brutal. Like, now they don't go into excruciating detail, thankfully, but what's there is alarming. Like, he dismembered like, I don't know, Ryan, I don't know how many heads you've cut off, but the few that I've had, it's very difficult. Like, you got to do a couple of swipes, Like,
it takes a lot. Like, there's the neck and the spine, which that's not easy, especially if you don't hit it between joints.
Especially your first time.
Like,
yeah.
No, it's tough.
This is the first time we've seen Raphael
That could have been somebody else, right? Couldn't like somebody else have just like beheaded him and he just grabbed the head? Like
Oh, that's a fair
I don't
point.
see him literally do it, but he may have.
That's a fair point. But yeah,
I
I don't know. I was looking around in the on the comic to see if they showed anything.
Sure.
I mean, obviously he couldn't do that with his sai or his gauntlet, his shredder gauntlets. But who knows? But you do make a very valid point. However, then we realize that and then he continues to say, we will celebrate this victory and the memory of those warriors who died earning it for a long time. And then he turns around and he says, how's the electric turtle doing? And you're like, wait, what? I thought he said that Michelangelo was dead. And yeah, no, turns out that he's cooling off. Mikey's just cooling off. He'll be fine. He's a trooper. And he's just down there just being like, what? Yeah. Where am I? Like, what's going on?
And they were talking previously about a Foot Clan.
Yeah.
Ninja. That's who they were saying he's dead.
Right.
Know,
but they sold the fake really well. Like that was pretty cool because I was like, they're just doing this. But what I love is that his nunchuck is kind of like petrified and like just all melted together. Like it's all the
it's like frozen. It's like been melted and like made into like a rod basically. It's like sticking out of the transmat.
Yeah, and Casey's like grabbing it and stuff, and he's like, this is nuts. Like you're gonna need new nunchucks because this one's not gonna work again. And so he's gonna have to hit Splinter with that that fine for getting what was it he used to say about like the
dock his pay.
Yeah. So anyway, and everyone's just checking on everybody, Raph's asking Leo how he's doing, and he's like, oh, it's nothing, but he's like, it's nothing a blood transfusion wouldn't cure. But my wound reopened during the fighting. Half the blood down there is mine. Oh my goodness. Because like Leo getting his hand bit off, like there wasn't much time between that.
No, he had no time to heal.
Yeah. So he just needs to clean it and get some rest. And then Casey just goes, yeah, it's Miller time and I'm buying.
Miller time.
And now Casey hasn't, at this point, I don't think he's talked with April yet to see what happened. Because I don't know that Casey, I could be wrong, but I don't think Casey knows yet that he's lost his job. I don't think.
No, he probably wouldn't.
Yeah, because he lost his job a little more so basically. He went to help figure out because kids were dying in the sewers, and it was King Komodo that was killing them and leaving them behind. And not just kids, but like kids. Some kids were missing, but then but these hunters were there. These Elmer Fudd looking dudes were killed in the sewers, and it was a way to lead the turtles to a trap. But Casey went down there because the news was all about it, and he got him because there was a reward. Yeah, not a reward. A reward. Yeah, that's the way I was supposed to say it. And so he didn't quit his job. He called out to go get the reward money to supplement pay some bills and whatnot. But his boss saw him on the news and called April and said he's fired. But I don't think all this has happened so fast. I don't think he knows this yet. But that's probably why he's saying and he's buying for all the Foot Clan and everybody. He's like, I'll buy, I'll get all the.
No, because he knows he got the reward. He got that reward check. He knows he has the 10 grand from the that the city put up. He knows he's got that. He doesn't think he thinks he pulled off the gambit of getting the reward and keeping his job. He doesn't know that he basically exchanged the reward for his job.
Right. That's what I was saying.
That's the rub. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where he's at, and it's just I don't know. I just love him in that mask. But and so that's where we're at. Everything's like winding down, and now Raph and Leo are about to part ways, Ryan.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool panel. Like Raph's got his helmet off, kind of like holding it under one arm. There's like a brotherly handshake. And Leo turns down Casey's offer of Miller time and is like, I'm out. And that's when Raphael, which the history between the two of them, I mean, the last words they spoke were basically like use on both sides. Like they weren't like cool at all. But here Raphael kind of extends the offer to have Leo come by the dojo, the Foot Clan dojo, and see Chang, who is calls him a witch doctor here, but he's a
more of a
mystic, a healer, a mystic, a healer who helped at the end of the day, helped find Splinter on the astral plane and did like kind of begin the process of helping all the turtles find their souls again. That's
Right.
a whole other thing. You'll have to go back to other episodes to figure that out. That was a weird plot line.
It was.
Um, but yeah, but like you could see that it's good. Like at one point, Raphael says like, "Will you tell the old rat that I did good?" Because Raphael and Splinter also had, which I mean we highly criticized at the time, a pretty immature fight led by Raphael. And now Raphael kind of wants to Splinter to know that he did well in this combat, and they kind of leave with a partnership. They kind of leave with like a non-aggression pact, and that like, hey, it's all good, and Leatherhead is kind of talking. He's got Dr. X in his arms, and he's kind of talking to the turtles, asking their forgiveness for freaking out about the transmat again. And then we find out actually, Leatherhead's kind of expecting the worst. He's like, well, how long will it take to patch up the transmat because it was so highly damaged?
Right.
And Dr. X is like, easily, my friend. Michelangelo damaged himself more than he did our device, and that's all good. He's like, oh, that's cool. It's like, yeah. Like it's like cool. Like we're just gonna be like kind of like I'm gonna fix it up real fast and nothing lost. Nothing lost here. So far away, or sorry, far overhead. Donnie's kind of riding in the air car. Trying to call Splinter. Because just to kind of see what's going on.
Right.
And to let him know that Triceratons are here and that there's a lot of crap going down. So it turns out, April answers the phone and goes downstairs into the basement to check on Splinter, and she sees that Splinter was tied up again, with a phone cord, and you don't know, why.
You don't know why. You don't know why.
You hope that everything was above board.
You don't, exactly, because he might have been into it, and he's like, "Oh, you ruined it," but like you don't know. But here,
right.
You never know. But because this is not the first time Splinter has been tied up.
It's true. But she tells Donnie he needs to get here fast, and so Donnie kind of like heads over there. Yeah. Back at the transmat, time to make the transmat turn on again, and we fixed it, and time to get you guys back, and oh, it's so good, and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, the transmat activates, and you've got Sarah riding a Triceraton, punching him in the eye, just saying, tell me, like just punching the hell out of him.
I love it.
And they pop out, and this is obviously, I guess the homing beacon that, the transmat beacon that, the personal transmat, transportation device that the Utrom used back at the Natural History Museum. I guess this is where it homered to, like where the homing signal was. Yeah. So they bust out here, and it's just insane because like you got Mikey, like, what the hell, Sarah, what's going on? And like, they come in like fighting. Leo comes in once again because he hasn't left yet. Raph and the Foot Clan have left, but like Leo's still hanging around, and he gets in on it. And they're all fighting and stuff. And it becomes this big struggle. And this is where you see the multiplication kind of force of one Triceraton. Like, I mentioned before that they're like 40K Space Marines, and they are like you can't just go one-on-one. He will beat you. Yeah. So they're taking turns. Like, and Leatherhead is the first guy to jump in. Like, and he's like going nuts on this guy. And actually, Leo, who's kind of honestly looks like Casey's helping prop him up. Like Leo looks like he went in there, but he got like hit wrong, and he's kind of like, ugh. They're all back there. Sarah and Dr. X are talking about how wild Leatherhead is right now.
Yeah, he's ferocious.
There's this panel in the bottom left here of he is just like ripping this guy's throat out. Yeah, like it's insane.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah, Dr. X says, I've never seen him so bestial. His ferocity appears to be accelerating the regression that is reversing his mind or his mutation. And it's real bad. And one of the last things that the Triceraton says as he's gasping through an open throat is, must escape, preserve the glory of Republic. And he activates that portable transmat again. Yeah. And now him and Leatherhead crack a doom away. Yeah. And there's a lot of confusion. And Dr. X kind of puts us straight, saying that he activated his portable short range matter transponder, It was keyed to the frequency of our device, impossible to tell where they could be anywhere on this planet or off. Because once again, he almost like hit it again. Like,
Yeah,
where's it gonna
yeah,
go this time?
yeah.
And Leo says like we should go try to find him and stuff. And Dr. X says we should, but we can't. That actually blew out the matrix generator on our transmat, which is crappy. And is a major malfunction.
Yeah.
He says total meltdown, which means I guess the device is ruined.
Yeah.
And then of course Mikey's in the background like, "Hey Leo, look what I found. You think Splinter let me keep her?" And it's like Sarah smooching all over him again because Sarah really got into Mikey.
Yeah.
And the whole time she was with Donnie, she was kind of flirting with him, but also at the same time being kind of like, "Look, you're like an ass, and you're nowhere near as nice as your brother is." And she doesn't even really remember his name.
Yeah.
Like she says, she was saying like your brother, like your brother's way cooler than you, like and stuff like that. And then of course, Leo's like, "I don't know about Master Splinter, but I'll bet that April says no."
Yeah, April's like, "No, we can't.
So they've reached a little point here where they kind of stop this plot line for a second, on this kind of question mark of where's Leatherhead and what's going on. And Sarah being back with Mikey. So then we cut to kind of the denouement of the book where you see Raphael running back to the Foot Clan hideout in the old theater, and he's saying, "This is the greatest day of my life. Everything has gone right for a change. I hate to see this one end. Oh man, we kicked their fat asses. I'm so proud of the Foot Clan." And he's just kind of running back over his victories, how good this is for the Foot, and like how how much of a bonding experience it was, and they didn't have much training, and this means that they could be so powerful with better training. And he drops right in, and it's a trap. And there are 4 elite ninja who drop in around him.
Yeah,
and
they're not the Rice Hat.
No, they're not Shredder's Elite Guard.
No,
like that we've seen previously. They have a different look going on.
Yeah, they've got like a basket over their head, kind of looking.
Yes,
thing. Yeah,
cool as shit.
It does. It does look cool.
I like their look a lot.
Yeah.
And so he fights them, and he talks about how their uniforms are like immaculate and they're very high quality. Their weapons and their form are like elite. And he's like, "Okay, this is not Shredder's old like bodyguard. This is a different class of dude altogether."
Right.
Because Raphael was able to whip about 3 of them.
Yeah.
On his own in very short order. But here he's kind of going down. Like he's working on them, but they're taking him down slowly but surely.
Yeah.
And eventually they do subdue him. And he's asking, like, "Who are you? Where, like, well, why are you here?" in Japanese, like to one of them that he's got. And that's when these 2 hunks show up. You know what I'm saying? Looking all calm and cool. They are not the 4 assailants. They are 2 different people. They don't have helmets on. And they're kind of like, "Why you yourself invited us here, Shredder?" And the other one says, "This is no way to treat guests. Perhaps you need a lesson in manners." And he kicks his helmet off. He kicks the Shredder helmet off of Raphael.
Yeah.
And Raphael is like subdued. Like he is on his knees, like and they're like, they describe themselves. The guy with the long hair says, "We are 2 of the 5 who rule the Foot Clan in Japan." The other guy says, "We have heard much of you over the past few years. We came to test you." And this is where Raphael starts to apologize because he wants to get in with the Foot Clan. He's talked about this. He wants
to play by the rules.
Yeah, he wants his Foot Clan chapter to like be legitimate and be accepted by the Foot Clan Japan. But he does say he was expecting Karai, and he thought that she ran the Japanese Foot Clan, so it wouldn't have been like this. It would have been a little bit more formal and more like talking. And he asks if she's here, and they're like, "Unfortunately, Karai no longer even sits on the panel, much less leads. Yeah, no longer sits on, much less leads the Council of 5. She made a great mistake and lost much face." And Raphael's like, lost more face than me.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah. So he's like, "Oh, so you've come to judge me and I've blown it." And they're like, "No, on the contrary, we're very much impressed with you. Your fighting skill is formidable. We would have been impressed had you managed to defeat 2 of our men. 4 is a mighty feat.
Yeah.
You have done an admirable job rebuilding the Foot Clan. We accept you." And he's like, "Oh,
Oh.
oh shit! Like, does that mean I'm in? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Am I a made man? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's like, you got to jump me in, or did you already do that? You know what I mean? Like, he's like, do I need to register? Like, is there a
Right. Right. Yeah.
website? Like,
What I
you know
gotta
what I mean?
do?
Like, he's
Do I
like,
get a
whatever I
pin?
gotta do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the guy goes, I hate, don't mean to read so much, but I want to be very specific with what they're saying because there's
Oh, of
rules.
course. Yeah.
So he says, the guy who seems to be more in charge, the long-haired guy who talks more, he's like, it means you are a welcome addition to the Foot Clan. Your presence strengthens us. We would also be happy to accept the entire clan of Hamato Yoshi. Your sensei is reputed to be a true master of ninjutsu, and we would learn much from him. Unfortunately, there is another who also claims right to lead the Foot Clan here in New York City. And he says, and also with a claim on the armor that you wear.
What?
And Raphael's like, well, wait. And then, sure enough, turns around and there's Pamiko.
Yeah.
And you know, she claims to be the daughter of Rokusaki, the original Shredder. And she says, "Hello, Turtle Boy. I told you we'd meet again. You know, I've tracked down the remainder of my father's faithful elite guard, and they've sworn allegiance to me. Now I've come for the rest of the Foot Clan." And he's like, I should have known, Pamiko. And you see the rice hat wearing like elite guard of Shredder, and
Right.
you know, there's Pamiko looking.
Yeah.
She's, you know, little spikies on her head, almost like, look, I'm kind of like Shredder.
Kinda.
With her top knot hanging out.
Mhm.
And that is the end of the issue. A
Yeah.
confrontation by Pamiko.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was a good issue. It definitely, like, it tied up a lot of things that were going on. The cool thing about this storyline, or the way that they've got these threads going, that's a little better than some threads we've seen in the past, is just that it's all having to do with the storylines in this book. Like, it's all having to do with the turtles and their stuff and stuff that comes from the Mirage universe, which I really like. I think it is pretty cool that Raphael can't just take the Foot Clan into
Yeah.
you know, into being like legitimate with you know, the main Foot Clan in general. Like, his chapter he's built, like, he has to actually, like, they have to figure it out.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool thing. And yeah, I do find myself really wondering, like, what's going to happen with the other parties, like Dr. X and Leatherhead. Like, you know, where are they going to follow that up? I thought overall it was a really good issue. Plenty of action, but also putting a good story in there as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think that just I love how high he was on their victory, and just like all the rush of that, and then just to be knocked down completely back.
Oh yeah,
below the starting point, because now they're saying, okay, that's cool, but like, you got to start over again to prove to us. And not only that just to prove yourself, you got to prove that you deserve this over someone who has a blood a tether to Shredder. And that's just like, I love how that just like came out of nowhere and just blindsided him. And yeah, but I do love that he totally took on all four of those other elite, and they were like, "Oh no, if you would have gotten two, we would have been impressed, but you took all four?
Yeah,
goodness." So yeah, and I love that they knew who Hamato Yoshi was and his clan.
That's a cool prospect. Yeah, that they've kind of come back like, hey, like, we could be cool. Like, we could do this. Like, he's got a path back to us, like, for sure.
That's one thing that I really love about ninja in general, like the as a character in a story, like sort of like a clan of ninja or whatever the case may be, anyone in martial arts, because it seems like they're always wanting to learn something more. Like, there's always more they could learn. So one of their angles,
the quest for knowledge,
precisely. Yeah, it's never just like, it's never just as shallow as power or money or whatever. They want to be enlightened, and there's something about that it has like an inherent like positivity to it to a degree, even though they might use it for nefarious means at some point. But nevertheless, the fact that goal of enlightenment is admirable, to kind of put you on a similar platform if you're a protagonist with your antagonist. That's like, okay, we can agree on that like knowledge and like learning all this stuff is a good thing, at least presumably. And so I really enjoyed that element of it. I enjoyed how much Leatherhead was like crazy and just like going nuts, and how he's actually still someone you should be fearful of, regardless of who you are. But that was really neat, and I
Well,
really
one question I had for you really fast. I'm sorry to
sure,
interrupt,
no
but
no
this
no
is
no
kind of a thing I wanted to bounce off you.
okay
Is kind of like the second point to the whole, the Foot Clan accepting the entire clan of Hamada Yoshi,
mm-hmm.
is that's not Splinter.
right
It's Hamada Yoshi.
yeah
I wonder what you think about. Do you believe that they still believe that Hamada Yoshi is alive and that like these turtles and stuff are part of his clan? Or do you think this was a slip up from Image that they say the Hamada Yoshi clan, even knowing that like Splinter is Hamada Yoshi's pet rat? Like they got things a little confused about the turtle the animated series origin where Hamada Yoshi is Splinter. Or what do you think that means? Or do they think that the conference of the name of Hamada Yoshi goes down to Splinter and his clan because he still follows in the Hamada Yoshi like ways. Like which one of those three? I think there's three possibilities.
okay
They don't know Hamada Yoshi's dead,
mm-hmm.
and that Splinter is Hamada Yoshi, or
right.
isn't Hamada Yoshi. They this is a mistake on Image's part, and they just kind of goofed a tad and
Right.
and said that. Or the Foot Clan know he's dead and consider Splinter and his sons part of the Hamada Yoshi clan.
I think it's that one. I think it's the third one, because Pamiko, she has contacted the elite 5 or the 5 leaders of the Foot Clan,
the Council of 5. Yes,
right. And so they one thing is they probably could tell the fighting style of Hamada Yoshi to know in that regard, but that's besides the point. I think what happened is that whenever Pamiko was with Lord Komoda and in talking to Splinter, they had that interaction, and that's when she realized who he was and how he trained them. Because I think she even recognized it, if I'm not mistaken. Somehow she kind of pieced all that together, and that's where she went and told them that I don't know that, because I think that Shredder kill, or oh goodness, Nagi, did Nagi kill is that how that was in this
no, Splinter. So Hamada Yoshi in Mirage Origin, Hamada Yoshi killed Oroku Nagi,
right,
and that was Oroku Saki's older brother. So Oroku Saki claimed, had business with Hamada Yoshi,
right,
and waited until he grew up and became strong, came to New York, found
right.
Hamada Yoshi and Tangshin and killed them, freeing Splinter in the process.
Right. Okay. Because I get that crossed up. But nevertheless, Shredder did kill them. So firsthand, like, they know that they're dead. I think that like that has to be. But then secondly, I would say that it might be Image getting that crossed up too. I think that could.
It feels a little bit, because they say we would also. The words are, we would also happily accept the entire clan of Hamada Yoshi. Period. Mm-hmm. Your sensei is reputed to be a true master of ninjutsu, and we could learn from him. You could say that when he says your sensei, that they know that that's Splinter, but he's a true ninja master, and we could learn from him. It's just, it has me leaning toward the third option. They know he's dead, but it's just the way they say the clan of Hamada Yoshi.
Yeah, the way they say
weird. That's a weird one.
It could be they're trying to be like honorific in a way, where they're trying to be all inclusive with like to kind of like butter him up a little bit, I guess.
Potentially.
But I think, because if I'm not mistaken, I think that Pamiko might have recognized what Splinter was wearing or something. I don't know. There was some connection where she was like, "Oh, this is that," and okay, and then she goes and tells them that you're not going to believe this, but this rat dad is their sensei, and it's wild. So.
Well, imagine too. I always imagine that, like, the way they kind of talk about it was, I'm sure there were different like fighting styles, and it felt to me, and different martial arts styles in general, and schools inside the Foot Clan. It felt to me, at least with this context as well, that Hamada Yoshi formed one, like one way of fighting, and that was lost to them. Like he left in disgrace, and they have like, this is like a whole nother martial arts style that they don't, like a variant that they don't have access to.
Right.
So they're like, kind of like you're saying with the compounding of knowledge. They're trying to find this, and maybe they do understand, like they call it the clan of Hamadayoshi because they don't know Splinter's name, they don't know what his thing is, but that to them they might recognize this as an offshoot of the Foot Clan, known as the clan of Hamadayoshi, because he left the Foot Clan. That's their last. That's their last information on it. Is that that was his style and his whatever. Right. You know what I mean? That might be another way. But when I read Hamadayoshi, I was kind of like, oh, okay. Then I went, hold on a second. That doesn't totally work. By the way they say it, but he's also being very brief.
Oh, of course. But yeah, no, I loved all that, and I really, I don't know, like who tied up Splinter, and why was Splinter tied up just in the basement? Like, was it just Pamiko just trying to be like, look, I can do you too? Because there was no resolution
Pamiko,
to that.
but she runs away. But like she runs away, and like Splinter and Casey are like hanging out. Like still, and then Leo shows up, and Casey's like, I'm going after her, and Leo's like, don't even try. She's crazy. Don't do that. You'll never find her. And you see that shot of her hanging out in the sewer. Maybe once Casey left, maybe once everybody left, she came back and got Splinter.
That's what I definitely think happened.
I think that's what they're trying to imply. Although it's strange because why? He wasn't gonna do anything but like watch soap operas anyway. I don't know like what he was gonna do.
I think what might have happened, and we might find out next issue, is that
we may find out more.
She did that to show him that she could do the same thing, but kind of maybe to embarrass him because he embarrassed her sort of or whatever. But I'm sure that she probably told him something, that there was something, that some information was exchanged that he has to let
that makes sense
know.
Because. Good call, because that just stops him from, well, I mean, the fact that she tied him up with the phone cord makes it where he can't call for anyone. Also, it looks like she did knock him out or something, so that he couldn't call for help. So, like audibly, like yell for April or whoever's there. Although I think it's kind of funny that it seems like I guess maybe that's a rematch, like, and she won the rematch because he won the first one.
He did,
but he's also an old man. Like he does say he's tired after that. Like he does mention like I'm wore out because that was a lot. You know?
Oh yeah.
But I guess we'll see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm loving it. I've loved every bit of this so far, and so this was a lot of fun. The dismemberment of the decapitation. That's the word I was looking for. I was like, I knew it started with D, but I was like, it's not dis something. But the decapitation of that Triceraton, like
that was sick.
That was awesome, and I that should have been the cover. That should have been the cover of this, and that would have sold like instantaneously.
That would have sold every bit of it. Yeah, that would have been so image edgy. That would have been beautiful.
Absolutely. But yeah, I don't know. So I'm really anxious to see how this is going to loosely tie up in the next 2 or 3. I forget how many it is issues, but no more than that. So and then we're at the end of this.
Then we're at the end of Image. We've read Image,
which is
that's
wild.
Crazy.
Yeah, 10 years after having like all this when we started looking up like things about it, and then everyone telling us that wait till you get to that image. It's
wait till you get the image, and
it's like here we are, and I'm
here we are almost done with it.
This has been a blast. So
that's insane.
Yeah. Do you agree with us? What do you think? Did you enjoy this? Did you hate it?
Yeah.
Well, we want to know. So you can email us at turtlesoupshow@gmail.com and tell us all your thoughts on God, and because we're on our way to see her, and
Yeah.
You could also tell us about this book or whatever you want to think or say or do or whatever you want to do. You can email us. You could also visit us home on the internet, Turtle Soup Show at, nope, that's the website again, turtlesoupshow.com. And getting the dust off still, the rust.
Yeah.
And then, we got all kinds of other stuff. The Facebook group, all kinds of good people there. And if you want to know and stay up to breast as to what's going on with that, definitely check out the group, and also check out Turtle Soup Show with the underscores between each word on Instagram. That's where we usually, those 2 places are the where to go to find the latest happenings and what's going on with the deep diving daddies here at Turtle Soup. And then, if you want to, you can like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff here on YouTube, but we really appreciate that. That really helps us out a lot. And if you know anybody that would enjoy the show, be sure to share that with them as well. That goes a long way for us. And you could also like and subscribe on to whatever podcast app you listen to us on. We should be everywhere right now, but if we're not, let us know. We'll see about getting on there. But yeah, definitely do check us out there, and that helps us out in ways you couldn't understand. And because we don't understand it, so I'm assuming, I don't know, that's kind of wrong of me. I'm assuming that you don't understand it either, but maybe you do. But either way, if none of that makes any sense to you, but you're just like, I just want to throw some money at these guys, you can do that by going to patreon.com. Find Turtle Soup Show's been done making a podcast and for 10 years and 301 episodes or something like that. And yeah, you can throw some pennies our way. We got some cool stuff that goes out to you every 6 months, and yeah, all kinds of fun stuff's up there. And those are the ones that we call family. Like that's what we do. And
if you want to become family,
yeah, that's how you do it. That's definitely how you do it. Well, speaking for me and my family, Ryan Guy over here, we're gonna head on out, and we will talk to y'all next time. So till then, else time.
Else time.